What's going on, everybody? If you're seeing this page, that means the official Taurean Rain Reloaded merch store is now available. To get access to the store, make sure you go ahead and click the store tab on my YouTube channel. From there, you will be able to see all the merch that is available. We have mugs, shirts, hoodies, joggers, and so much more to come. All original designs made by yours truly, Taurean Rain Reloaded. Now go ahead and get your merch today, and you can feel nothing in style.
But first at noon, a man accused of slashing police officers last night, including the chief of police in Taunton. That suspect facing a judge today. 12 News reporter Sheena Loshudo joining us live at court right now in Taunton with the very latest.
Well, the suspect in this case, Douglas Hagerty, held without bail for now. He's facing several charges. His court appearance today was rather quick following a rather chaotic night here in Taunton. We're going to go through the night in order for you. Hagerty is accused of first shouting at an officer in Taunton at an unrelated traffic stop, then driving erratically, leading to him getting pulled over. Then it's alleged he sped off, almost hitting an officer. Then there's a police pursuit. Hagerty crashes into a relative's home, which is the video we captured and showed you. Police say the suspect went inside and pulled out a knife, allegedly stabbing officers. One officer went to the hospital with serious injuries. He's recovering after surgery. In total, we're told 5 police officers were hurt, including the police chief.
He came at me, lunged at me, and at that point, as I said, I felt an impact on my body. I deployed the taser. Somehow, I mean, it was so fast, I can't recount exactly what happened. I tased him, put him on the ground, and then we eventually cuffed him. Watching what happened, it was a split second. As I said, literally, the officer walked in when the person started stabbing him with a knife. It was instantaneous.
And a not guilty plea was entered on behalf of the suspect. He was ordered to be evaluated, and we asked the police chief, how is everyone doing at the department today? He says they're all exhausted, but just glad this wasn't worse. Reporting live in Taunton this noontime, I'm Sheena Loshudo, 12 News.
A man accused of stabbing Taunton police officers is ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation. And his brother is telling us this suspect suffers from mental health issues.
The officers who were attacked last night are being praised for their ability to control that situation and take that suspect into custody. WBZ's Beth Romano was live for us in Taunton tonight. And Beth, one of the officers who was stabbed was actually the police chief.
Well, the chief was one of 5 officers injured last night, and today he had nothing but praise for the way they handled a very violent situation. He says it all happened so quickly and points to the dangers that officers can face on any given day.
Unexpected, you can never tell what's going to happen.
Taunton Police Chief Edward Walsh reflecting on the dangerous encounter his officers had last night with 35-year-old Douglas Hagerty, facing several felony counts of assault, including taking a kitchen knife to the chief himself.
I'm a little sorry. The subject tried stabbing me with a kitchen steak knife. Made slight penetration to my body, but as it was going in, the blade actually broke off from the handle, so it didn't actually fully penetrate.
But another one of his officers was stabbed in the face, all happening after Hagerty allegedly taunted police as they pulled over another vehicle in a traffic stop. And then they say drove erratically in his Honda Accord, charging at other cruisers, before nearly crashing into his own home, leaving tire marks behind where police pursued him inside. Distraught family members say he has struggled with mental health issues.
My brother is schizophrenic, and the cops were antagonizing him, and he kind of just had enough, and he had an episode.
An episode, say police, that nearly cost an officer his life, as Hagerty allegedly lunged at them inside the home. And when the chief, who lives nearby, rushed to help his officers, also put himself in harm's way and tased the suspect before realizing he'd been stabbed.
I don't think there was a thought process. It was so instantaneous. I felt I had an impact on my body, and I just instantly reacted.
Family and friends insist the alleged violence is out of character for Hagerty, who they say has been in and out of psychiatric facilities.
He's a good dude. Like, he might have like whatever issues, but I've never seen him be angry or violent or anything.
The chief says the department has only begun to process how the outcome could have been different and praised the officer's restraint.
Upbeat that things aren't worse. As I said, the officer could have died last night. Suspect could have died. Didn't happen.
Now, the most seriously injured officer was transported to a Boston hospital where the chief says he is recovering and in good spirits. As for Douglas Hagerty, he's been ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation at Bridgewater State Hospital to determine criminal responsibility. Reporting live from outside Taunton District Court, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News. Beth, thank you.
It is stories like these, which is why I'm so glad that not only am I part of the new black media, but that I also created this series of videos called Operation Protect the White Boy. In some instances, it could be a PC woman in there as well, as y'all saw with one that I recently did on Mary Elizabeth Holmes. But if this is not the definition of Operation Protect the White Boy, I don't know what is. If this also is not the perfect example of white privilege, I don't know what is either. This might go down as one of my top Operation Protect the White Boy video stories, however you want to call it, of the year. Because y'all heard two different segments. Y'all heard the first one, which was giving you a little bit of a backstory about what happened. It kind of touched on the quote unquote mental illness part that he has. They say he's a schizophrenic or bipolar or whatever his family member said he has. Then in the second video, which was almost 3 minutes long, basically was hammering in on that mental illness part. And the irony of this is I was having a discussion with some people yesterday. By the way, I'm recording this video on September 29, 2023. So I had this conversation with people yesterday, and the topic of mental illness came up, and we were talking about situations such as these and how many people abuse the mental health thing in order to get away with the crimes in which they commit. And the irony and coincidence that this story will fall into my lap the very next day. Interesting, very interesting how all of that just kind of plays out. So as y'all heard in the audio, you have this man who you see on your screen whose name is Douglas Hagerty. And he basically went on a whole tirade where this man he stabbed 5 police officers, including the chief, after crashing into a home. That's literally what he did. And as you can see right in the numerous pictures, he has no kind of visible marks on him in his mugshot. None of that. He's being offered probably an opportunity to most likely plead insanity and most likely could go to a mental facility and instead of actually facing jail time. And I agree with the comments that I saw on social media pertaining to this story. Where's the whole Blue Lives Matter crowd at? Where's the, he wasn't resisting? I mean, he was resisting. He should have complied and all these type of things that they love to say about black people. That's another reason why I like doing videos like these, because it throws it right back at them. It's just the fact that more of us need to address it. Yes, because granted, the reason why we have to do is because they have a bigger media machine than we do. But if we do this as a collective and we can find as many stories about this as possible, you can just about imagine how much we would find. Now, what was interesting to me is not to completely shun away from the first video, but the second video or the second audio that you heard, that's when you started hearing from his family members and everything like that. And when I was listening to it, I don't know about you, but when I was listening to it, they basically were trying to say that it was the police fault why their family member acted so erratically, because according to them, Douglas is a very nice guy. He would never hurt a fly. He would never act out or anything like that. So it had to be the police fault in provoking him into doing what he did and acting out the way that he did. And then that's how we came to the conclusion that he allegedly has this mental illness that they claim that he has. And then you even heard the police chief, the one that was injured, and y'all probably saw it in the pictures going across, the one that says injured, the one he's in the picture with Douglas Hagerty. Even he made it seem like he was feeling some kind of compassion for the dude too, even after he injured and could have killed you. Now, you know, without the shadow of a doubt, they would never, ever, ever do that with a black person or black people. Hell, black people out here can have an actual diagnosed illness, mental illness, one that has a name and has been diagnosed by an actual licensed physician, and they will still not treat them with the kid gloves that they treated this dude with. This guy, again, let me reiterate, this dude stabbed 5 cops, including the chief, and he did all of that after he crashed a car into someone's home. And he still got taken in alive. Like I said, this is exactly why I make these videos, because many of you are unaware that this is going on. And it doesn't surprise me that this happened in Massachusetts as well. Let's not forget what recently happened in Cape Cod with that Tucker Carlson doppelganger who tried to drown that black boy and called him the N-word and called him George Floyd. Same state. I don't know if it's in the same location. I don't think it is based on the name, but I highly doubt it. And look at what's going on here. It may be a different scenario, but both of them were handled with kid gloves. Go figure. And in instances where people's lives were in danger, where either party could have died, or in his case, parties. Just think about this. He stabbed 5 cops, then stabbed, which means he had to be in close range in order to do this. Because, of course, you know, common sense will tell you with a gun, you don't have to be at close range to shoot somebody. You can be from a distance if your aim is good, of course. But with stabbing, you have to be right up on your target. And he was able to get away with stabbing 5 of them. I didn't see anything about hear anything about a taser being deployed, and most definitely nothing about him being shot. Like they said, one officer suffered slash wounds to the face, neck, and the back. Places where if they went deep enough, they could have died. They said the other 4 were stabbed including one was stabbed in an arm. Could have hit an artery, could have bled to death right there. But you know what? I also put this onto the agencies, the law enforcement agencies of this establishment. This is what you have to contend with. All this time, y'all like to talk about all this crime going on in Baltimore, all this crime going on in Chicago, which, by the way, Chicago, again, has a new criminal class that ain't black. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to deal with that. Y'all got all of that going on, and you want to still have time at the end of the day to say how bad black people are. See, if they distributed that talking point evenly amongst the groups, we wouldn't even have to have this discussion. But since y'all want to go there, let's go there. Y'all have a lot of dirt and grime to clean up around your home and in your home before you try to invade on someone else's living quarters. I bet they're not going to talk about this. Fakem isn't going to talk about this. After all, this is the same guy that said black teens ran over this guy and then tried to say it was a racial thing, even though in another video he was talking about something completely different and tried to say that racism was a myth. He ain't going to talk about this. Greg Foreman, that fool, ain't going to talk about it. Whitlock, he got his panties in a bunch dealing with Deion Sanders every single day of the week, which seems like every hour on the hour, it seems, to even talk about this. Larry Elder, I'm glad that came up, because y'all know I did, the video about Larry Elder when he was on the Higher Learning podcast. Larry Elder, you talked about fatherlessness in America, and you know how it's just a plague in the black community. How much you want to bet this dude comes from a 2-parent household? And this is something I talked about in another video. How much you want to bet this guy came from a 2-parent household and he still went out and did what he did? Didn't Larry Elder say something along the lines of you need to comply and all these other things? He didn't comply. But if Larry Elder got wind of this, he'll hang off of the because he had a mental illness. I bet you he would. But if it was a black person, he wouldn't do that. That's why I can't take them seriously, because I know what angle right off the bat they would approach this story with. They would let him off the hook. But when it comes to black people, they know what they did. They're nothing but a bunch of thugs and savages and niggas. But y'all have nothing to say about this. I know they're not going to say nothing. I would be actually shocked if they did. And if they did, what angle would they take? Now, this story's been up, I believe, since the 27th. As a matter of fact, for 2 days. I might actually go over and see if Fakem or Greg Foreman even spoke about this. I doubt that they did. I highly doubt it. I'm willing to bet that they did it. And I also know that people in the PC community aren't going to talk about this either. While they sitting up there getting upset at the righteous verdict in that Ethan Lyman case about those black men that got found not guilty of involuntary manslaughter, and just basically you can chop it up to simple assault or aggravated assault. They getting upset about that, talking about how this was a hate crime and all types of stuff, this and the third, when it had nothing to do with the race. But these are the same people that will sit up there and talk all day about how racism isn't a thing, or we don't see color. That is some bullshit coming from them. Y'all ancestors literally created the social construct of race, and you've been benefiting from it for hundreds of years and still benefiting from it today. Knock it off. Stop the cap. So I pretty much got all I have to say as it pertains to this. I can't wait for y'all to sound off down in the comments and in the chat as it pertains to this story.